He is more solemn when he enters Strasbourg and its cathedral. Alsace and Lorraine are German once again, as he promised they would be. The spoils of the French campaign: 2,000 tanks, 5,000 cannon, 300,000 rifles, 4 million rounds of ammunition. At an army supply warehouse, the Wehrmacht finds a stock of long johns meant for the French army, warm woolen garments which will be stored away for future campaigns. The spoils are the factories, the harbours, all the riches of France. It was the French who declared war. As a consequence, they will pay the equivalent of $100 million a day in occupation costs. General Hunsiger goes to Germany for the first meeting of the commission charged with applying the terms of the armistice.
Herr General, meine Herren.
To spare troops, Hitler decides to let France retain partial sovereignty, under a government at his beck and call, and with a limited army stripped of heavy weapons, just to maintain order. The country is split in two: an occupied zone in the north and along the entire Atlantic coast, providing access to all the harbours. Italy controls the Mediterranean area and occupies a narrow ribbon along the Alps. The rest is called the Free Zone, with a new capital, Vichy. This spa town has been chosen in part for its many hotels. In early July, Marshal Pétain moves into them, along with the government ministries. The atmosphere everywhere is abysmal. However, this Vichy government continues to control a vast colonial empire, and above all, a still powerful navy. Hitler's only request is that its ships be disarmed and remain in their ports, for he is afraid it might join forces with Britain. Churchill fears the opposite, that it will fall into German hands. He orders the Royal Navy to neutralize it. A British naval force sails to one of France's biggest naval bases, Mers-el-Kébir in Algeria. Churchill is taking no risks. An ultimatum is dispatched: either join us, scuttle your own ships, or sail under escort for demilitarization in the Caribbean. The French reject all proposals. The British open fire. Two French battleships are heavily damaged, and one, the Britannia, is sunk. 1,297 French sailors are killed. Seeking to show his people, the world, and above all the United States, how determined he is, Churchill strikes out at his former ally, whose fleet could have helped the Germans land on British shores. 2 days after the attack, the Vichy government breaks off diplomatic relations with Britain. All of Germany acclaims Hitler. His lightning conquest of France enthralls his generals. He sees himself as the greatest war leader of all time, on a par with Napoleon. And like the Emperor, no one dares to contradict him anymore. The Germans occupy the Channel Islands, Jersey and Guernsey, stepping stones towards the invasion of Great Britain. The British get ready for a German invasion, taking measures that might appear trivial. Another urgent measure is to send the children away to the countryside for safety. Always a painful moment. Their elder sisters, their mothers and grandmothers join the war effort. Every woman must defend her home against the fearsome German paratroopers. The men join up as local defence volunteers for the Home Guard, even veterans of the First World War. The willing and able are mobilised while the army rescued at Dunkirk reforms. America supplies rifles, machine guns and anti-aircraft cannons, and everyone perfects their skills. Churchill delivers a most inspired speech to the British people.
The Battle of Britain is about to begin. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty. So bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
One of Churchill's main weapons is the Royal Air Force, along with its remarkable aircraft, the Spitfire, with its Rolls-Royce engine, one of the best fighter planes in the world. Britain also excels in the field of electronics. The British are the first to use radar for the purpose of defence. In the ops room, radar is used for detecting planes and guiding pilots towards the enemy. The pilots from all over the British Empire are joined by airmen who have managed to flee their countries under German occupation, or whose governments are in exile in London. Poles, Dutch, Czechs, and the first of the Free French forces, along with de Gaulle. Many of the British pilots are Oxford and Cambridge students. One of them, Richard Hillary, later wrote, "We were known as the long-haired boys. We were disillusioned and spoiled. The press referred to us as the lost generation. Superficially, we were selfish and egocentric. The war demanded no heroics, but gave us the opportunity to prove to ourselves and to the world that, undisciplined though we might be, we were a match for Hitler's dogma-fed youth." These German pilots have been trained by the Hitlerjugend, the Hitler Youth, with the idea of revenge. They feel that they are invincible. Their leader, Goering, is a popular figure in the regime. Goering, who is a man of luxury, often stays at the Hotel Ritz in Paris and turns the Luxembourg Palace into the Luftwaffe's headquarters. He has promised Hitler that the Luftwaffe could obliterate the Royal Air Force in days, take control of the air, and enable the Wehrmacht to invade Great Britain. The Luftwaffe has at its disposal all of France's airfields, their installations, and their equipment. Its pilots are well trained. Like Adolphe Galland, with his trademark cigar, who fought against the Republicans in Spain. Or Werner Mulders, an ace from the Battle of France. He was one of the pilots shot down, taken prisoner, and then returned to the Germans. He is now part of the aerial offensive against Great Britain. Taking off from these fields in occupied France, the Germans will attack convoys in the Channel, harbours and airfields in southern England. They will shoot down 500 British aircraft at the cost of 1,000 of their own. The British pilots hold out, giving everything they have. Churchill proclaims, never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Hitler decides to postpone his plans to invade Britain. This is his first setback. His tactics now rely more on nighttime bombings. He says, the British will surrender when their cities have been destroyed. German bombers attack British cities like Coventry and London. This is the Blitz. Daily bombings. As for the British people, they hold up admirably. They dig shelters in the gardens of their cottages. And in London, they sleep in the underground stations and go to work the next day. They never lose their confidence or sense of humour. Churchill says to the French,
Ici, dans cette ville de Londres, que Hitler prétend réduire en cendres, nos gens tiennent bon.
Hitler is exasperated. He will later call Churchill a Jew-ridden half-American drunkard. From now on, whenever he is thwarted, he will vent his spite against the Jews. On October the 12th, 1940, on the day of Yom Kippur, the Jews of Warsaw are told that a ghetto would be set up. A wall 3 meters high is erected, enclosing 500,000 Jews, men, women, children, the elderly, who will suffer horrifically from hunger, cold, and poverty. In his chalet in the Bavarian Alps, the Berghof, Hitler is filmed by his mistress Eva Braun as he celebrates New Year, surrounded by the children of Nazi dignitaries. He has another plan up his sleeve, another big gamble. His mission now is to conquer new Lebensraum, living space, to the east. He has allied himself with Stalin, only to better attack him later on. His failure to take Britain compels him to move quickly before Churchill is able to draw America in. That would set the world ablaze.